Sacrifice. You know, it's such a big word whenever we begin to look into it, such as many other words out there. But specifically, whenever I look into sacrifice this week, is I would ask not only myself, but also you this week is, what are you willing to sacrifice to have something better? For many people, they'd be like, well, I'd be willing to sacrifice a lot of my paycheck to have a nicer vehicle, or I would be willing to sacrifice time on my phone to have a better relationship with my wife or my husband, or to have a little bit more time with my kids. And even more than that is there's so much that we could sacrifice to have something better than what we have. Hey, good morning. And welcome to this week's Lively Bible Encounter entitled Sacrifice. Most recently, coming into the new year, is I found that there's a lot of things in life that I could sacrifice to just, one, to be just a better human. Two, and most importantly, is a better child of Christ, that I could cause my relationship to grow with Him in one of the most exponential ways ever, by sacrificing certain things in my life in ways that I have never experienced or thought that I would ever take the opportunity to do. And it's caused me this week specifically to look back and over my life and many others that some would say, man, I would just love to fix my relationship with my wife or my girlfriend or boyfriend and husband. I would give up anything to spend a little bit more time with my kids. And whenever I begin to speak with some of these people this week, like, well, what would you do to have a little bit more? Well, I would do a lot, but I won't do that. So you wouldn't give everything to have a better relationship. I asked myself, I said, what would I be willing to give up to have a better relationship with Christ? And I began to read on fasting and asked a few other people, like, could you give up coffee? Could you give up sugar? Could you give up red meat, bacon? A strong one for a lot of people. Well, I tell you what, I would give up a lot, but I wouldn't give up that. And so I was determined that I would give up 100% of everything, food-wise, and to grow in my relationship with Christ this week. And it's been a challenge. But I tell you what, it has been amazing. And so in that sacrifice, the idea of fasting, that for me this week is where life meets Bible. And it comes out of specifically the chapter 4, the book of Matthew. And having a few points here, it's a very familiar story for many of us that Jesus, after having been baptized by John, is that he was immediately taken out into the wilderness for 40 days in a time of fasting. And during that, as he was tempted 3 times by Satan. And the first time, Matthew chapter 4, verse 2, beginning there, he says, after fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. The tempter, talking about Satan, came to him and said, if you're the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread. And Jesus replied to him, like, from the story, the book of Deuteronomy, he says, you can't live on bread alone. And so Satan would go on to do his thing, kind of leave him alone for a little while, and he would come back a second time and tempt him again. In verse 5, the devil took him to the holy city and had him stand on the highest point of the temple. He said, if you're the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written. And he would go on talking, and Jesus replied in verse 7, he said, it's also written, don't put the Lord your God to the test. And so a little while later in this time, we get into verse 8, and again the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor, the goodness of those places. And he told Jesus, he said, all of this I'll give you if you bow down and worship me. And here's the part that I really love, our key verse for this morning. Jesus said to him, away from me, Satan. For it's written, worship the Lord your God and serve Him only. We worship so many things in this world. I worship myself, my body, the things that I've purchased with the money that God's blessed me with. And for what? So that I can live a better life on earth, but not have a greater relationship with my Creator? You. I think we're equally as guilty today, not to put my blame off on you by any measure. I am extremely guilty and shameful. But what are you willing to sacrifice? Get this. Looking in verse 10, Jesus replied to Satan in this third time. 40 days into a fast, it took Jesus to finally say, "Away from me, Satan." And what happened whenever he did that? The angels came and tended to him. How long will it take us to die to our flesh and kick Satan out of our life? Quit blaming God for the things that Satan's done to us. Satan rules this earth. It was given to him. He was kicked out of heaven, put here, and he comes to kill, steal, and destroy, but yet we want to blame God for the bad things that come into our life. Rather than saying, "Away from me, Satan. I'm tired of the things in my life that do not belong." I made a Facebook post this week. It got a lot of attention. It says, why can we feed our body 3 times a day when it's not even hungry, but we can't even give our spirit half the attention? Friends, I'll leave you there. I think it's a lot to swallow this morning. It is for me. But let me ask you one more time. What are you willing to sacrifice to have a better relationship with God? To truly fill your spirit? This body, this flesh, it's a loner. It's made to deteriorate one day. We've all watched it in our parents, grandparents, loved ones, just people. It's not made to last forever. This world, it's like our flesh. It's not going to last forever. But our relationship with God can. And if you give yourself wholly, entirely to Him, it will. Our spirit will last forever regardless. The option is, what do we invest into it now? Which gives us the answer as to where our spirit spends the rest of eternity at. I know we don't like to talk about hell. It's an ugly place. But if we don't feed our spirit now, we have no other choice. But if you feed your spirit, quit feeding your flesh nonsense. Say, "Away from me, Satan." Feed your spirit and leave the flesh alone. Our eternity is secure with our Creator. Let me ask you one more time. What are you willing to sacrifice right now? And I'll leave you there. If you need help this morning, need prayer, if you want help fasting through something, if you want help finding what it is that you need to sacrifice to have a better relationship, please, I all but beg you, reach out. It's okay. It's okay to ask your friends for help. It's okay to ask me for help. And it's okay, more than okay, to pray to God, "Lord, what do I need to let go of today?" And I thank you for joining me on this week's Lively Bible Encounter. Sacrifice something.